In this video, we will discover modifier system in Blender. So a modifier is a piece of software inside Blender that modifies the object, as it says, and you can find it here, okay? So we did see already a few, but we will go deeper during this chapter to see a little the workflow to use that. And the first thing you have to understand is this: when you add a modifier to an object here, you add a modifier only to that object, okay? Even if you have a double selection from the 3D view like that, for example, okay, or a triple selection here, if you add the modifier here, it will be on the last one, not on the other, okay? So basically, it's things that you find in edit mode for here. I will show you that. I will add a plane, okay? You will have some edit modifiers, okay? It's a little advanced and maybe we will talk of it during the training, but mostly I don't use them a lot. So I don't want you to disturb you with that because it's a little advanced features here. Here we have the generate, and we will have a full video on that. So generate, as it says, generate some geometry. Here, for example, if I add a solidify modifier and increase the thickness, so it will generate some geometry that wasn't here before, okay? And if I add another modifier, generate here subdivision surface, it will even generate from this here, from the first one, okay? We can see that we have here deform, so as it says, it's deform only the object. We have some normals modifier that we don't use that much, except really specific tasks. And for the physics, we will have a full video about physics on the simulation chapter. Here we have the hair, and it's a specific one for hairs, so maybe we'll talk about it during the training, but not in this chapter because it's a very specific feature. So we will talk basically about the generate ones and the deform ones during this chapter here. You can add, as you can see here, 2, 3, 4 as modifiers as you need during your modeling, but it will increase the RAM, so be careful about that. It will increase the RAM here. So more you add modifiers, like for example, if I add a subdivision surface, again you see it increase. If I increase that, you see that it will increase a little again and again, and now I have so it's little by little. But if you have more than 1 million vertices, for example, it will start to be a little more. Yeah, you can see that now I have 3 GB because I have 6 million faces here. So it's a lot. When you add 2 modifiers, you have to be careful about the order of the modifiers. Who is first, who is second, who is... So here, if I add, for example, again the same, the solidify here, increase the thickness, and a modifier generate subdivision surface again, okay, you can see that first you can disable and enable in 3D view here the modifiers. So at first we have the solidify, you read from the top to the bottom here, and this here shows only the solidify modifier here, okay? So it's just add some geometry and add a thickness to a surface. Now, if I put the modifier subdivision on it, it will take this object that is created by the first one and modify it again, okay? And you can add 3, 4, 5, a lot of modifiers here to create the object that you need. Here you can see that you have the possibility to move modifiers, to move the order. So if I move this one on top, you can see that the result is not the same, because if I just analyze what's happening at first, I have this, then I subdivide the plane to have this surface, okay, and now I can solidify it. So it's very important to understand what's happening and to verify that, just enable only the first and then after the second and then after the third to really see what's happening to your objects when you play with modifiers like that, okay? I will show you modifiers chains like this during exercises or and during the two next videos. Here you have other buttons as well. You can enable this in render or not. So now if I make a render with the camera, it will be only this that will appear, okay? For example, you have there's two buttons that belongs to edit mode, this. So for example, here, if I enable this in edit mode, you can see the result in edit mode. But if I disable this, I have only this in edit mode, and now in object mode, I have the modified object. Sometimes it disturbs to have all of this in the viewport, so sometimes you can hide it, and sometimes you can even make the original geometry stick to the new object that is generated. So for example, here for the subdivision, here you can see that now I have only 4 vertices, but they stick to the new geometry. So this is very important to understand that as well. And so if I add this as well, now you can see that if I select one, I select 2 actually, because the new vertices are linked. And so if I move that one, everything will move, okay? So yeah, it can be very important to understand this system here in edit mode or not, and stick to the surface or not, okay? So for example, with a simple Suzanne here, okay, with a subdivision surface, the shortcut for that is Ctrl+2, and you will have a subdivision surface with level viewport at 2, okay? Here, if I just enable this in edit mode, I will have the original here faces and original vertices, but if I make it stick to the surface, now I can really see what's happening here. So sometimes it's good to model like that to see a little the original geometry, and sometimes it's good to model like that, and we will have the cases during our training. So that's it for these features. So as you can see, you have these 4 buttons you can enable, and what you can do as well, you can apply a modifier. You can see that here, if you click on the little arrow there, you have an apply button or duplicate, but the apply is the most important here. You can apply the geometry and now the modifier, and now the modifier disappears. This becomes destructive because before that it was non-destructive. After that it's destructive, and you cannot come back to the options of the modifier again. So be careful when you apply a modifier, it's destructive. Usually what I do when I apply a modifier, I always keep the original somewhere. Like for example, here I have the Suzanne with modifiers. For example, you can use this like that. You duplicate it and you rename it, and you make Suzanne applied. Okay, and now what you have here, if you apply the geometry and hide the first one, now you have this. So it becomes everything real. Okay, so now you can modify this in edit mode maybe more precisely. Before you cannot. Okay, but with the modifier, it's always good to keep the one that has less vertices to modify. In case you make a mistake or in case you want to come back, it's always good, because at this point you have the one without apply the modifier, and so still in, let's say, non-destructive mode. Okay, so that's it for these features. If you have for example here, let's say I want to remove that one. Okay, good, and I keep only this one. Let's say you have a modifier, a chain of modifiers somewhere. Okay, so for example, maybe we'll add a cube this time, and this time we will add a modifier generate bevel here. Okay, and let's say this bevel, we are happy with it. It's the same options that you have in edit mode, but we will see that during the next videos more precisely. And I will add another modifier, maybe modifier array. Okay, so add a modifier, generate array here, increase the factor here, and increase the count. Good. So we have two modifiers, one that makes the bevel here and one that makes the array. In that specific case, when you change that, it will not change the geometry, because here what's happened to the array doesn't belong to the bevel. So yeah, whatever you put of the order, it will be the same. But for what we want to do, for example, let's say I have a simple object like a cylinder. Okay, and let's say this cylinder, I will not put a lot of vertices, maybe 16 will be enough for that. And I will put it here. Maybe you would like to copy the same modifiers with the same options that you have here on that one. So you can do that. You just select the first one, then select the other. I think it's this order. And with Control L, you just copy modifiers. Yeah, it was the other order. I made a mistake, sorry. Control L, copy modifiers. And now you have the same modifiers here. You can see that we have the bevel and we have the duplication of the array as well. You can make exactly the same, but only with one modifier. In case only one is important for you, you have the same kind of selection, and here you go to copy to selected, and you will make your duplication of the modifier. Now, if I select this object, I find back exactly the same option, count 5 and factor x at 1.5. So yeah, basically, it's those options that you will have to understand, and we will discover more specific things that modifiers does. And here we will go into the generate for the next video. So we will discover generate modifiers into the next video, and you will see that there is a lot to cover. So maybe the two next videos might be a little longer than usual. But it's important for you to understand that before going to exercises with these fantastic options. In this video, we'll discover generate modifiers. So here what we have is the generate section here, and the first one is the array. We did see it already, but there are a few options that you have to understand on this modifier. First of all, it's the relative offset. You can increase or decrease. Okay, you can put it on both angles, x, y, or the three angles here, like the Z2, and you can enable this or disable this. You can use the constant offset. The constant offset is not a factor, it's a distance, it's a real distance. So you can use meters, for example. Let's say you want 2.757, sorry, here, and you increase the number as well. Okay, you can play with an object offset, and this is really powerful. So I will increase the number. As I did enable nothing here, nothing will appear, but we have 10 cubes in the same position here. So what I will do, I will add another object, and this object will be an empty. So this empty object will be a kind of handle to manage the array. So I will add an empty sphere. I will increase the size of it just to have something bigger. Don't scale it, use the radius here. And now I will just come back to my cube and go into the modifiers here, enable the object offset, and select the here empty object. Now if I move my empty, you can see that it will create this kind of behavior. So it will change the location. So if I make gx, everything will take that here location value and duplicate it along the x-axis because I'm on the x-axis. But if I add this, it will manage the y-axis as well, for example. So yeah, very easy to manage here the location of your duplication. But what is good as well is that you can play with rotation as well and scale as well. So for example, if I make gx to duplicate it like this and make a rotation into the y-axis, let's say, for example, it will create this kind of behavior here, okay? But if you scale it down, now the cubes will become more and more little. And if I scale it up, they will become more and more big, okay? So you can create these nice natural shapes that we can see in the nature, like for example, helicoidal shapes like that. And yeah, and just make a rotation like that will create really nice animation here. So if you animate here this object, you can really make some nice things here. Okay, you can see that you have really nice things that appear. You can come back and increase the number. For example, let's say we would like to have 50, okay, and it will become something like that. Okay, now if I make my rotation again like this, you can see that it will really create tentacular shape like that. Really good way of doing this, like this, you see. So yeah, it's one that is very powerful, but a simple example that we can use with that and that I show to my students usually is this. So I will make Alt-R, Alt-S, and Alt-G, okay? Now I come back to that object and I will create a stair, okay, for making stairs here. So what I will do, I will make SZ, SY to have something like that, and just select here. I make everything in edit mode, as you can see, and just select this and make this kind of shape, okay? Then I select everything and with GX put it somewhere here. So now my object is here. And if I want to make helicoidal shape for my stairs, I just make GZ, okay? And I duplicate my stairs like that and make RZ. So now I will have this kind of shape. And what is good with this system is that you can come back to your original shape. For example, if you want to create something like that, okay, you just go there and select this part here, okay, and extrude it to have this kind of shape. Can be useful as well. So now you have real stairs very easily. So yeah, can be very important to know this feature in the array here with the object offset. The merge option will make you merge when the objects are not far from the other, and you just it will merge vertices here, and so you can increase or decrease the distance if needed. Okay, but more or less you use this, or this. And we will have other options as well, but we will see that during an exercise. We model a chain with this system. The next modifier, where is it? Add modifier here, it's the bevel one. So the bevel, I will just take a cube to show you that. So don't hesitate to reproduce what I do here, it's important. So yeah, let's add a cube here, and with Control R, I will not cover all the modifiers, but the most important ones, in my opinion. Here I will add a modifier, generate bevel here, so very important one as well. Like this, you don't have to do it in edit mode in case you want, okay? So here is the angle that defines if I want some bevel or not. So let's say, for example, I have a shape like this with Control R here, let's say, and with this, I will just in side view move this like this, okay? So here, as we can see, the angle still works because we have 30 degrees. But if I decrease that, you can see that, or increase that. Yeah, increase that. So starting more down 45 degrees here, you can see that now this angle doesn't work, but the rest works. So it's important to understand what will be affected by the bevel here. You can change the amount, you can change the segments here. So yeah, very powerful one as well. You can change here the profile as we did with the custom value here, and the number of segments here will help you to have a nice shape, interesting shape here. So yeah, you have a lot of options, the same that we did see in edit mode for bevel. So very good to add, just to add some bevel in the end of your modeling. You can choose some specific parts if needed. Let's say I come back to this here, decrease a little the amount here, like 5 will be enough. And here I would like to, I can use only the vertices as well, so sometimes it's useful, but you can use here the bevel weight for the edge data. So here what you can do is select the edge that you want to have some bevel, okay? Increase the bevel weight. You can see that nothing did change except that it becomes blue now. And now if you want to take the weight here, only this part will be affected by the bevel. So yeah, a very simple way to manage the bevel weight here. Okay, you select the weight you want, and you can still come back and increase or decrease the weight in case you want to. So for example, let's say I would like a big amount, okay? But let's say I would like a part to be less affected than another. So for example, I will decrease the bevel weight and it will become little here. And I will select maybe there's 2 here, and I would like to be big, to have different kind of bevels inside one object just with one modifier. So it can be a very powerful one as well. Okay. Another one that we will see is the Boolean. We did see it already with the bool tool. Honestly, it's more powerful to use bool tool to make this, and we did see it already. We have the build here that honestly I never use, and I never seen a project, professional or not, that is that use this feature. So yeah, not really useful in my opinion. Here we have the decimate one. The decimate one can be very important. So let's say, for example, here you make 3D printing and you use you want to print your favorite object is Suzanne, okay? And we will add a modifier with Ctrl+2 subdivision surface to have a nice here smooth surface. But it becomes a lot of vertices if you increase this. Okay, so let's say I apply this and I would like to export it to my 3D printer. First of all, everything will be slow when you export and you will have big files. So here you see that in edit mode, when I go in edit mode, it takes some time, and I have a lot of vertices to manage here. So let's say I would like to export something with the same shape, but with less vertices inside. What you can do with that is add a modifier generate here decimate, and you decrease. Like for example, I go with 0.1. It will take a time until Blender will make the computing, because it has 4 million triangles to manage. But when it's finished, you will see that the number of face will be 0.1, this one, okay, multiplied by 0.1. So here it will be now far less, and you can see the result here. Like for example, here you can see the wireframe. So we have far less here things to export, and it will be far better for everything during the printing chain to manage. If you send it to your slicing software after, or if you send it directly to the 3D printer, everything will be quicker and easier to manage after. So try to make this before exporting big objects like that with a lot of density inside. Okay, so here I will just remove this object, just check the next modifier. Here is the edge split. The edge split is important as well, can be useful for some, for example here, let's say we have a sphere. Okay, so what edge split will do? Edge split will split as it says. So I will add a modifier, generate edge split on this, and sometimes you can use the edge angle, and sometimes you can use the sharp edge, for example. So let's say if I increase that, at a moment when it's sharp enough, and I can increase the sharp edges with the crease here, for example, or the bevel here, but yeah, with the angle, and I will see the effect only with the subdivision surface here. You can see that now if I scale it down at a moment, it will still be, the entire object will still be affected by the subdivision surface here, and everything is smooth under. But if now I scale this up, you can see that I will have a sharp angle here, and that now I have two edges because my edge loop is splitted here, and now it will have this kind of effect. So it can be good sometimes to sharpen the edges. Honestly, I prefer use crease, like I did show you here. You select an edge and you use Shift E. I really prefer that. So the next modifier here will be the mask, and the mask is good to mask something on it. So it's very simple to understand. Let's say you want to keep a part of an object. What I like to use as an example, let's say you have an entire character with clothes, and you would like to hide the part that are under the clothes. Like this, they will not interact with each other. So for example, let's say you want to keep the end until just until the wrist, for example, okay? And it's good to hide the rest that is under the t-shirt, for example. And to use that, you will just add a modifier mask here. So what is good is to use the data here, and you can, and we will create our first group here. We didn't see the groups already, but I will just create a vertex group here and call it hide. Okay. So here I have a new group, and as I assign my selection here to this group. So now if I come back to my modifier here and select the group hide, you can see that now here it will hide the rest of the object. You can invert the selection if needed, but in edit mode you still have everything. So sometimes it can be very useful to use that technique. The mirror option, we did see it already. Okay, a little, I don't have that much to cover more, except maybe this one, so I will remove that one here. So here I will select everything and make a GX like this, okay, to show you that when the mirror intersects here like that. So sometimes it's good to use this when you want, for example, only one geometry. Here you have two geometries that are like that, but if you use the bisect here, you can see that now you have only one object. So very useful, this one, for exporting 3D printing to 3D printing. For example, you want something really with one surface, you export just like that. You apply this and you export, and it works well. Except that you use just the axis like this, and it will work well. Mirror is very important for organic modeling, for a lot of things in Blender that you will use. For a car, for example, you will model for sure only a part, half of it. You can use the clipping option, and we did see it during the headphones modeling here. So yeah, that's it. And the clipping option here is important as well. I will cover it again if as it's important. So here, let's say I control plus and I remove these vertices. Now if I just make an extrusion like that, okay, you can see that now it can cross each other, so it goes the other side. And if I use the clipping option, it will not cross, and like this it will stick. And with the merge option here, I will export only one loop here and not two loops. If I don't use the merge, you can see the number of vertices that will increase here. So now I have 866, and now if I remove the merge, it will increase 32 vertices more. So yeah, this is this behavior that is important. And except that, yeah, very powerful one and useful one. We will use it a lot during the training as well. The next modifier, again a UV sphere. What do we have here? The multi-resolution. The multi-resolution, it will be covered into the sculpting chapter. It's a very important one in sculpting. We have the, and so I will not talk about it here. We have the remesh here that is important. So what I will do for the remesh, I will add a Suzanne. Let's go there. So now I have a Suzanne, and if I want, let's say, to kind of try to keep the same shape, but remesh everything. Remesh it means reconstruct everything. So here we will have this. So it will kind of trying to follow the shape of Suzanne here. If you decrease the voxel size, you will have more resolution here, okay? If you increase, you will have less resolution. So let's say I put this value here, I will start to come back with my original shape. What is important to understand with remesh is that it makes only one surface, and that's what is good with this one. Like for example, I go in edit mode here and I add a sphere, okay? And scale it down and put it here. And maybe, I don't know, a cone here and put it there. And make a rotation and scale it down here. Okay, so I have Suzanne with this. And now in object mode, you can see that everything is smooth here and that it creates a really nice shape. So what it will do, and in wireframe view you can see it, it's only one surface. So very easy to create something to sculpt, for example. So the remesh option is really handy for sculpting, but it has other options that you can use as well. You have the sharp option here, that can be useful in some cases, and the smooth option, but mostly you use the voxel option for sculpting, and I will show you that during the training with the sculpting, with the sculpting chapter. You have the screw. This one is very powerful. So for this one, I will just add here a plane, simple plane, and I will make a rotation 90 degrees into the x-axis and put it here, somewhere here. I will remove this vertex, okay, and keep only this 3 here, and add a modifier generate screw. So the screw will make an entire resolution around an axis. So here it's the z-axis. If it was, for example, the y-axis, or let's say the x-axis, it will create that, okay? But here we want the z-axis. So to manage this now, I go in front view, in orthographic mode, and I just have to move my vertices and extrude, and it will create a perfect shape. Like for example, very good for vases, for bowls, for bottles, and we will see how to model a bottle with that. So yeah, very powerful one. And what is good with that one as well is that when you have this kind of shape here, you can create, for example, screws by increasing the iteration here and the screw option. So if you increase the iteration, increase the screw, you can see that it will create something like that. So very good to make everything that has a spiral shape like this. So very important to understand. You have the state viewport, you have the render. So more you increase here, it will be in the viewport only, and more you increase here, you will have more definition into the render. Now it's 16 here, and if I increase, you can see that I will have something with more definition here. So usually this is always more or equal than this, okay? So like this in render, you will have a better resolution. And to work, it's always good to not increase too much the level of this. Like this, you will not add too much memory into your project. In the next one, we will see the skin, another powerful one. So I will remove, yeah, it takes a lot. I will remove the screw here, and the skin is very important. It's very simple to understand. You can just, now I have only vertices here in wireframe. I have only this, okay? But it creates a shape around directly. And what is good is that you can use Shift A, no, Alt A, no, Control A, yes, Control A to add some thickness into it if needed. So very, very powerful one. So can be good, for example, to model a tree shape, for example. Like for example, here I increase here this, make something a little bigger with Control A, okay, and then make this Control A as well. Okay, and you can make a nice shape. Control A. Okay, extrude again and again to have this kind of shape. And now you will have a kind of branch, and now you can extrude from here, for example. And as you can see, it makes only quads. So very good one to make branches and shapes like that. I can come back from here and again extrude, Control A, extrude, Control A. And look, only with these vertices, I have only a shape. I have already a shape like that that could be used for create the beginning of a tree. I can add a modifier generate subdivision surface above it and to have something that is smoother. Okay, so yeah, very powerful one as well. The next one here will be the solidify. So the solidify, we did see it already, but I will add it to a cube, a simple cube here, and remove maybe there's two vertices here. So let's talk about walls, for example. Let's create walls. So here I have my shape, and I would like to extrude it into the y-axis here, maybe -2 to have something like this, and extrude into the x-axis, -4, okay, so 4 meters here, and extrude it into the y-axis 5 meters, and maybe maybe not, gy -1 like this, and I will create a kind of room shape, okay, just by create this. So what is good with this modifier? It will be perfect for make something that will have the wall shape. Now we will create a volume from a surface, and now if we increase the vertex like this, if we increase the thickness like this, we can see that the walls will have directly the shape that we need. So it's important to understand something with that. It's the even thickness. It's always good to enable it. Like this, you will really have a real thickness that can be used, for example, in architecture or something like that. Let's say, for example, you don't have this face, okay? And if you disable this, you can see that you have a kind of strange shape here that appears. It's because everything is not closed. But if you use the even thickness, it will create something perfect. So always use the even thickness for that. You can use this one for a lot of things, like for example, maybe a car, or maybe a thickness for furnitures as well. a lot of parts can be modeled with this modifier. So here we have this kind of behavior when we use it. You can enable only, for example, without the rim, okay? So, and you have the duplication of the geometry. You can use only the rim, and you don't have the duplication on the geometry, but only the rim. Sometimes it can be useful. You can play on vertex groups as well, like if you want only a part of it will be extruded and not the rest. And you have other options like materials or things like that we will not cover there because it will be too long. But yeah, can be very powerful, for example, to have a material on the surface here and another material on the rim. And so yeah, it can be useful sometimes. Here we have the next modifier, the subdivision surface. So we know it already, and I will use Suzanne for that. We know it already, but we didn't cover everything on it. So we have Kalmur-Clark, so it will make a kind of curve from an angle. Here we can see that we have an angle here, and it will create a curve from this angle, an interpolation of a curve like that. So yeah, very good to smooth the surfaces and to create organic objects, so very important one. But you have the simple option here. It will create some subdivision as well, but will keep the original geometry. You can see here the result if I enable wireframe and remove the optimal display here. You can see that now we have the same shape, exact same shape, but it will just subdivide the surface. Sometimes it can be interesting to use that. In what case, you will tell me? Like for example, here, if I have a plane, okay? Let's say I would like to add here a modifier subdivision surface here, because I want more resolution, okay? Because after that, I will add a bevel. Not a bevel, sorry, solidify, okay? And let's say, first of all, let's go there, increase the thickness. And if you go from here and after another subdivision surface, so what's happening here is that I don't keep the original shape, for example, of the plane. I have something almost circular here. What I would like is to have something that will not be completely a plane, a square, but will be between the two. So what I will do, I will add a subdivision surface before, and this one will be a simple one. And what's happening now? We have this shape, first of all. It's good, always good to see what's happening. So we have this shape, first of all. We have this that is subdivided. I can even subdivide it more. And like this, when I will solidify, I will have this shape, okay? And now if I increase the subdivision surface, I will have this. And even if I put this here, I will have this kind of shape that could be used, for example, for modeling maybe a phone or something like that, okay? So yeah, simple shapes like this, just with 3 modifiers, can be important to use. But we can use the bevel as well for that. Here, and the next one, sorry, I add a cube. And here I will have the triangulate. So the triangulate, we don't use that much. It says what it does. It triangulates the faces here. So nothing really crazy. Sometimes it can be useful to see the triangulations. Volume to mesh here is a very specific one, is to manage here the volumes, like yeah, if you use, for example, clouds or things like that and want to convert it to a mesh, it's a very specific case. I will not talk about it here. The world as well, really not something that I will cover here. The one here, the wireframe, can be useful sometimes. The wireframe will make a wireframe as it says, but you can increase the thickness of the wireframe. So it can be very good to create some structures or things like that, like the Eiffel Tower or things like that. Yeah, it can be very good for that. So let's say I would like a structure like this. I can go in edit mode now, and maybe I can create something like that. Okay, now I will have this kind of structure. And if I create a face here inside, okay, maybe it will work. Good. So now I will have this kind of behavior like this. And maybe I will take this face here that I can select like that and extrude it. And yeah, very good to create this kind of structures like that. And what you can do to have the kind of effect that make a construction, you can add here before a triangulate face, but not after, before. Like this, it will create this kind of structure that is more realistic. So yeah, very useful one. And yeah, again, the wireframe, sometime that you can use in your project. So that's it only for the modifiers here. Generate, you can see that there was a lot to cover. In the next one, we will cover the deform ones. They are less and more easy to understand, so it will take less time. And after, we can make finally some exercises with modifiers. In this video, we'll cover the deform modifiers. So here, the first one, here, it's the armature. So an armature will make a deformation into an object, like it's a specific object that is here, the armature. It's a kind of skeleton that you use on a character, or maybe something that you want to rig. We call it rig in 3D. And that you want to deform with it. So it's a non-destructive system, very powerful one. It's the skeleton that makes your character moves and have some expressions and things like that. And we will have a full chapter about it. So yeah, a very powerful one. So first of all, we'll not talk about that one. In the next one, we have the cast. So yeah, the cast is a very basic one that you have, let's say, a cube, okay? We will subdivide it with before, like this, we can see a little more what's happening here, okay? So let's say we will just make a simple subdivision here, okay? And I will decrease the factor to 0. Like this, it's a cube like before, and I will remove the optimal display. Like this, we really see what's happening. So here we have a cast with a sphere shape, and if you increase the factor, it will just go to a shape of a sphere. Okay? So very simple one. And you can increase into the negative side as well, negative side, or increase more, and it will create crazy shapes like this. Can be very interesting sometimes. So you have the radius of the shape here, you have the size, everything, and you have several basic objects, like for example, I could go to a cylinder here, okay, and it could create a cylinder shape. You have here a cuboid, so it's already a cube, but if you add here, let's say, a sphere, an icosphere, let's say, and with a lot of subdivisions like this, we can see what's happening. And we add again a deform cast here and use a cuboid here. You can see that it will go to a kind of cube shape. So yeah, sometimes can be useful, but always, I don't use it that much, that one, huh? Honestly. Here we have the curve. The curve, we did see already how it works more or less, and I will show you another example with the curve with a chain and a plant. So yeah, in the next exercises we will cover it a little more deeply, a very powerful one, as you know already. you have the displace one. And the displace one, I will use here a plane. This plane, I will just subdivide it in edit mode a few times with Shift R to have a lot of vertices here. Okay, good. And I will remove the wireframe here just to show you what's happening. I can add a modifier, deform, displace. Displace will displace the geometry at 1 meter, okay, to the direction of the normals of the face, of the faces that we have here. So they are all in the direction of the z-axis, so it goes 1 to the z-axis. But I can use a texture to change this. Like, let's say I would add a new texture. So we have a texture tab here that is specific, and when you select the object with the displace modifier, you can see that you have a specific displace texture. We will use it, and we will use a texture that is inside Blender. It's a procedural one, and let's add a cloud, okay? And you can see that now this texture will affect the geometry and deform the geometry with these values that you have. So the white values will make the geometry goes up, and the dark values will make the geometry go down. If you change the options of this texture here, like for example, let's add some depth here, and maybe from soft to hard, and we will have different behaviors here. So yeah, it can be very useful sometimes. If I increase or decrease the size, I will have something like maybe start almost like almost like a before landscape, a little landscape like this. Okay, so yeah, it can be very powerful, that one. You can add your own black and white images in case you want to choose an image or movie. Here you have a square image. You add a square image with black and white values, and you can sculpt your object with that. So can be a powerful one here. The next one will be the hook. The hook is a specific one for the curves, and we will not talk that much about it here. We have the Laplacian deform. It's a little specific, this one. It's for increase the shapes, and yeah, let's say you have a character and you want to make an expression on it. Okay, so you can increase this expression and make it little more visible. But honestly, yeah, that one is not that interesting. The lattice one is important here. For example, let's add a monkey. Let's add a monkey, and let's add a new object that we didn't see yet. It's the lattice here. So we will increase the radius of the lattice here and make it bigger than the object, like that. Okay, and you can deform this object with that one. But to do that, the best is to show you how to increase the resolution. So I will increase the resolution of it, maybe by adding a few more resolution into that object and subdivision into that object. And now I can add a modifier lattice. And this lattice will be with this object. So now if I go inside the edit mode of the lattice here, I will have the deformation into Suzanne by moving here the vertices of the lattice. So it can be good sometimes to add some expressions, or just move like tune or something like that. Can be useful. But there are other ways of doing that are even more powerful. We have the mesh deform, and actually it's almost the same, but let's say I will add a cube. Okay, and like my cube is bigger and we cannot see what's happening inside, I can go inside my cube options here into the viewport display and go into wire. Like this, I'm sure that my object will stay a wire like that. And now I can select my object and make the same option with with not a specific lattice object, but with a real mesh object, so very easier to manage. So what I will do, I will add a mesh deform to my Suzanne and select that one here. The only thing that I do is to use the bind option here, and now if I go into edit mode, I can select a vertex and it will move like that. So this one is it's almost the same and very powerful, even more powerful. So let's say, for example, you have a character and you can use a cage outside your character to add some expressions or things like that to move your character. So yeah, it can be very a good one. The next modifier here into the deform section is the shrink wrap. The shrink wrap is important to understand. So let's say I will remove that and make a Ctrl 2 to this. Good, and apply, just to have really a smooth surface here. And now I will add a mesh plane. And this plane, I will go into edit mode, scale it down, put it up, and subdivide it. So let's say I would like this plane to stick into the surface of Suzanne, okay? So I will add a modifier. It will be the shrink wrap. And I will just select the target option here and it will stick on the surface directly. So whatever I do here, it will stick on the surface, okay? It will take the nearest surface point. So it's good, for example, to go here and there, and if you are not that far, it will stick on the surface and try to keep the same shape. If you want the exact same shape, because you can see here when you are here in wireframe view that in object mode now my object is deformed by the way of the wrap method, the nearest surface point, it deforms my object. There is the option that is the project option here, and for that you have to use the negative option usually, and now you can see that in top view it projects directly into the surface. So can be very good, for example, if you want to, maybe we will not use this one, or we will smooth that one to create something more circular with Shift R. Okay, no, it's not really the good option, so I will add a circle for showing you that. So let's say you have a circle. You have a circle with 24 vertices here, and you want to close everything with Ctrl F here, grid fill, and it will create this kind of nice surface with squares only. Increase the offset to have something good here. Okay, good. So now you have this surface, and again I would like to project it into the head of Suzanne. So I will maybe want to make a hat. Okay, so I will scale like this. I will put it there, scale it into the x-axis maybe, and let's make a hat on Suzanne. Okay, so for that we'll add a modifier and the shrink wrap. We will wrap it here and we will use the project and use the negative option like this. It will be there. Okay, and now whatever thing you will do into that object will stick again, except if you go over the surface here. So if you go over, you can see that now the vertices are not projected because there is nothing to project on it. Okay, so it's important to understand that. But except that, you can just have something like this, and now you can add another modifier, like for example surface generate this one like a solidify, and increase the solidify mode until you have the right thickness and the offset to go outside, let's say. Okay, so now you will have this kind of surface here, and now you can add another subdivision surface here to have a new object that will stick. And what is good is that you can make it stick on whatever surface. So if I just scale it down, it will still stick. If I move it like this, it will stick. Okay, so that's what is good with this kind of technique. Can be very useful. Okay, in the next one, the next deform one, it will be the simple deform. So let's go into a cube for that one. Maybe we'll go into a cube, and this cube we will subdivide it a few times to see what's happening really. Okay, now if I add a modifier here, deform, mesh deform, no, simple deform, sorry, we will have this kind of behavior. So if by default we have the twist into the x-axis, but I would like it to into the z-axis. So if I increase the angle, you can see that it will twist like that. Okay, sometimes can be useful. You have the bend one. The bend one will bend it as it says along the z-axis like that. The taper one will make a taper like this, okay, bigger on top or bigger on the bottom. And the stretch one will stretch it as it says, kind of bounding effect on it, okay. So sometimes can be useful. Again, this one I don't use it every day, but it's here. You have the three smooth here that make different smooth here. So you have the smooth simple one that we know already. Okay, you increase the factor here at 1, it's better, and you increase the repeat and it will smooth your surface. Okay, so good for organized shapes. You have the smooth corrective. I will hide the first. Okay, and this one will appear only when you have already something on it, and if you decrease the scale here. Okay, so the corrective here, it's more to keep the shape when you deform an object. Like for example, you have an arm and you want to close the arm. Maybe the deformation will not be good, so with the corrective one you can correct that. So sometimes useful. Here you have the smooth Laplacian, so it's a little like the Laplacian deform, and here you can still again play with that, but it will go only into the edges, so little details as you use preserve volume here. Okay, so yeah, sometimes again can be useful, the three smooth modifiers. The surface deform is one that I use often, and for that I will use let's create a kind of armor chain like this. So maybe we'll use this kind of object, like we will model very simple shape like that. Okay, and for this I will make a subdivision into the x-axis, make a rotation 90 degrees into the x-axis. Okay, good. And now I will have first link. Okay, and for this I would like to make the same kind of duplication with this one, shift D into the y-axis this time, and make a rotation into the y-axis 90 degrees. Okay, so now I will have this kind of shape. So if I duplicate this with a generate here with the right offset and duplicate this into the x-axis like that, okay, with more and more count, let's say, to have something like that. Okay, let's go to 25 to have a nice thing to work with. And let's go with a generate array again, and this time it will not be into the x factor but into the y factor. So it takes the same 0.72. I copy that, Control C, Control V, hide this one. Okay, and now it will go on that way, and if I increase it again until 20, I will have this kind of nice shape here. Okay, So this, I would like to deform it. And what I can do for that is using a surface, because we have a lot of vertices here. Imagine you apply everything there. Okay, here you have a lot of vertices to cover, and if you want to deform it non-destructively, it will be complicated. So what I will do here, I will use another object. This object will be a plane, always a simple surface to do that. Okay, so I will scale it on top here to have the right shape and the right size. So SX, okay, put it into the right place. SY, a little bigger is enough. And maybe I will just subdivide it a few times to have enough vertices to be deformed. Okay. Now what I can do is select a modifier here, deform, and deform, surface deform. And if I select this object, the plane here, and that I go in edit mode, maybe with this option, I can move my object. Oh yeah, and maybe I need to go there and to bind it just like that. Okay, and now I can move my object just non-destructively. So what is good, for example, if I want to make it stick into the head of Suzanne, for example, let's say, or maybe just a sphere, it will be easier to manage. So I will create a big sphere here, okay, and scale it into the z-axis to have this kind of surface here. And with a subdivision surface control 2 like that, I will have this kind of shape that I can put under maybe that one. Okay, good. And now if I put a modifier deform shrink wrap to stick on into that one and use the project value here with negative and use this target object, okay, we can see that now the first one is deformed by the surface, and the second one here, the surface here, so the plane, is deformed by this one. And it will be impossible to make stick this like this, because if I add the shrink wrap directly to this one, everything will stick. So I will lose every details that I have, and everything, all the vertices will stick into the surface. So we will have a crazy shape that doesn't work, only a crazy surface here. So yeah, in that case, it can be very useful to use this kind of technique. Okay. The next object, the next modifier here, it's the warp here. So really, not this one again, not that useful. I never used in my project. So yeah, there are really more interesting ways of doing that. And here we have the wave. So the wave can be interesting sometimes. For this, let's add maybe a plane that we subdivide maybe into edit mode, or maybe we'll add a subdivision surface before, just like this, just a simple subdivision surface and we will increase into the viewport just like that to have more subdivisions, and we will add here a deform waves. So what the waves will do, as you can see, I will just increase the size of it. What the waves will do, it works with the animation, okay? So it will create a kind of motion like this, okay? And you can change the shape of it. So for example, here you have on the motion on X and Y here, it's cyclic. You can make the fall off change here. So you can make the height change. You can make the width as well, so to have more or less. Okay, can be or the narrowness to have something with more triangular shape here. And you can add more options like the start position and is into the Y and the X axis here. So for example, let's say I would like to add one maybe here. Okay, let's say. And the time, I would like that it starts a little after. So like this, I will go here and it will start at this point. Okay. And now I can have another wave, duplicate that one maybe. So just by going this and duplicate that one. And now I will change the position of it and change the time. So the offset will be at 0. So like this, I can see where it starts and when it starts. So maybe that one, I will put it there. Okay. And maybe another one with another start position. Okay, so I will just duplicate that one. Good. Now I will put it maybe here. Okay, more in the middle and more on top. Good, and make it start with an offset that is even bigger. Okay, somewhere there. And so now I will have the 3 modifiers that will create one here, a second one on here, and the last one on top. Okay, so here maybe the size is a little too big, but yeah, it's just to show you that you can manage your waves like that. So it can be good when you add a motion into a water surface or something like this. Okay, so that's it for the deform modifiers, and we will see how to use all these modifiers into the next exercises. And first of all, we will model a chain. In this video, we will model a chain with modifiers. So first of all, let's make a link, and for that we will add here a simple torus here. Okay, so this torus will not put a lot of vertices here, maybe 24 might be enough, and maybe 8 for the minor segments here, and we will keep the options like it is, maybe a little less, like 20 might be okay. Perfect. So now we have our first link. So it's not really a basic link change shape here. What it should be here, it's a kind of oval shape like that. So what we will do here in edit mode, we will go into wireframe view, go on top, and by going in orthographic view, we'll select half of it and make an extrusion into the x-axis, just like this. Okay, and you can see that now we have our link shape. Good. So what we could do and actually we did start something like this before with the chain surface here. So what we could do is going into edit mode and select everything and shift the X and make a rotation into the x-axis 90 degrees, and then after we will add the modifier here, generate array. Okay, so it will work and make a basic chain like that. But what you cannot do, for example, is create something that is something that modifies only one link. Like for example, if I add here a loop here and make Control B, sorry for that, Control B here, and extrude and Alt S. Okay, I will have this only into that link, but let's say I would like all these links like that. I will have to go there and make the same kind of modification. Me, I want only one link that creates the entire chain. So what I will do for that, I will remove this part, and I will remove the vertices here, and I will remove the array as well. So what I will do, I will add another object. This object will be an empty, and let's add a sphere. Just it doesn't matter that much actually. We increase the radius like this to have something bigger, easier to manage. And what we will do, we will add array into that object, the link object that we can rename link. Okay, and here we can call it chain handle or something like that. Okay, and here what we can do is use the object offset into that array modifier, and this object offset will be the empty. Now if I move my empty into the x-axis, okay, increase the number here, you can see that I will have this kind of behavior. But now if I make a rotation x, you can see that I can have a chain like that. So x 90 degrees, and I will have the perfect shape that I want. So now I can just increase the number and I will have the right amount and the right duplication. I can even come back and make it more like this, more like that, or maybe the rotation into the x-axis might change a little and it will make some nice randomness into that. Okay, so first of all, it was this to create the link. Now I can come back to my link and select everything, make Alt S, for example, everything will change. Or maybe I want to make a specific link like this, like I did before with Control B and extrude Alt S. And now everything is the same everywhere. So it works well. Perfect. Now what I will do, and what I want to change here is add a curve. So let's go to add a curve to deform my chain. Okay, so I will add a Bezier curve, and this Bezier curve here I will just scale it into scale it into edit mode to have a bigger curve like that, and select an handle here and extrude it like that, just to have a nice shape, okay, to work with. Good. Now if I select my chain, after the array I can add a curve modifier, and I will select my curve. So what is good now is that my chain will deform along the curve. So be careful with this technique. It's not a real chain that the links will not deform. The links will deform in that case, like for example, we can see here some deformation into that link, but honestly from here you look at it and it works perfectly. So you can change the number here and go until the end of the curve, or you can play with another option that is very powerful as well. Is here you have here the fit curve. So you see that here you have the fit curve. Perfect. You have the option fit length as well, and you select the number of meters that you want for your chain. Here it's a very, very big link, so it's not very current, but here, let's say you will add a fit curve and you will select the curve object and it will fit directly the length of the curve. This is very powerful, this, because now it means that if I go inside the curve in edit mode and extrude, it will extrude the chain along the curve. Okay, so very easy after to draw something and it will create something like that. So for example, let's remove everything, okay, in edit mode, and let's draw something and it will create a nice chain directly. It will not work for the second one because it works only for the first. Okay, if you want to make it continue, you have to link them. Like for example, if I make it like that, okay, I will have to create a shape here by doing F, and now it will follow. So yeah, you can see that it's a very powerful method to have a chain somewhere. So yeah, with this technique you can use a lot of possibilities. Like for example, here this is the first possibility, okay, and let's call this chain, okay. You have the link, you have the curve, just a chain curve. Let's call it chain curve. Okay. And now let's say I would like different kind of links. So I could use this kind of technique as well. I will show you that. So let's hide this, add a new collection. Okay. And now what we could use is this kind of technique. So let's add not a cube, but a torus again. Okay. Same options, same beginning, go in edit mode, go in wireframe view on top, select everything, half of it, extrude into the x-axis, just to have something like this, okay? Nice one. Good. Now what I would like to do is add some loops here to can deform this after, okay? So maybe I will add a few loops, like for example here I add 8 loops. I make Control R again with 8 loops, okay? And I have a link that is with this shape now. What I can do is select this part with, yeah, just until here might be okay. And with proportional editing here, what I can do is make a RX 90 degrees, okay? But by increasing this, I will have this nice curved shape like this, okay? So the goal is to not touch this part of it. This part has to not move that much, just a little. RX, yeah, it moves a bit, but it's okay. And 90 degrees. And now what you have is this kind of link, okay? Maybe we can increase the thickness of it a little. Something like that might be good. Now, you don't have to use the system that we used before with the chain handle with the second object here. What you can do is just add a modifier, generate array, and it will work directly with an X factor like this, okay? And now you can increase that. You can use the same kind of chain curve, so I will just duplicate this one with Control C and Control V, okay, and put it there. Now I will have another collection and it will be another kind of chain like this, okay? I can add the array and the modifier curve here. It's that object that will curve it, and we want not the fixed count but the fit curve. And you have a lot of possibilities to create nice shapes here and nice chains like this. So okay, I will call that one chain 2. Okay, good. You can just shade smooth if you don't want too much geometry because you duplicate a lot of geometries here, or you can just make a Control 2 in the end to add a subdivision surface. But be careful, it can add a lot of vertices into your scene like that. So be careful of this one. Maybe just level 1 might be enough, or maybe level 0 and keep the render at 1 like this. When you make the render, you have a nice chain with all the detail on it, okay? The next kind of object can be something similar, but a bit different. Like for example, here, let's add another torus here into a new collection. Again, chain 3. Perfect. Here. And we will duplicate this chain curve here by make a Control C and put it there with a Control V. Now I will just use another technique to create a chain, and maybe a little more complicated, but not that complicated, but yeah, interesting, let's say. And in that case, we cannot use again the empty technique, but this one is more a square shape. So let's go for that. And the major segment will be only 4. Like this, you have this kind of shape can be very interesting to work with that as well. I will increase a little the minor radius. What is important to understand with chain is that you need to keep more inside here, this distance, okay? So this distance here has to be less big, has to be bigger than this one, or the chain will not work, okay? So be careful of that, except that you have no limits to create that. So I will make Ctrl Z a few times and re-add this, because when I draw, I lose the options. And I come back here. This might be okay to work with. Perfect. So now I can make a squarish chain, and just I go inside and make a air 45 degrees, okay? So now what I would like is something with 3 little links and 1 big, okay? So what I will do, I will just make this, Shift A, Shift D into the x-axis, make a rotation, okay? And maybe first, before doing that, we need to have at least 2 times here this space. So what we will do, we'll just create that by make a GX somewhere here, okay, to have a double square rectangle almost here. And now we can start to make our duplication. So I make duplication into the x-axis with Shift D and make a rotation 90 degrees into the x-axis. Okay, good. So now I have something like this. And now I can duplicate back this one. Okay, that looks good. A little more like that. Looks perfect. And what I can do to make something a little more interesting, I will duplicate it again, this one, with L and Shift DX, okay, to have almost the same shape. But this one here will be longer. So, or maybe that one will be longer, and it will work like that. So I will go into wireframe mode here, select all of this here and make a GX. Just like this, you will have another kind of chain. That can be interesting as well to work with. Okay, so now maybe I will scale this down a little, put it in the center. And now let's work with this chain. So I will add a modifier here, generate array again. This array will have a specific X factor like this. Okay, so we'll have this now. And now we can add another one, the modifier curve. Okay, and with this object again. And again, we don't want a fixed count, we want to fit the curve with the object, okay? To make the fit curve works well, you see that I have a less big chain here. I did make the S, so the scale of the object, I did reduce the object in edit mode, and this is important, is to not have any scale here into your object, so your scale has to be at 1. You can see that if I make a scale, like for example, I want to scale it up, you can see that it will not fit the curve because I don't have the right scale here, and Blender doesn't understand that. So you can see that it will not fit the curve anymore. So it's important to have a value at 1 here, and that's why I did the scale into edit mode, okay? So this was how to model some chains here. You have 3 examples, or if you want to make it fit, you can scale it up. For example, you want something bigger, to have something like this, okay? And if you want to make it fit well, you apply the scale. So you will keep the scale that you did and make it at 1 here. That's why now it fits well the curve, okay? So now you have 3 examples that you can see. I will save you that for sure. You have the one with the empty and the rotation here that let you manage only one link for all the change. For all the chain, you have the curved one that make more interesting shape here, and you have the third one with more complex shapes that you can play with, maybe for jewelry or things like that. You can make some nice patterns for that. Okay, so here you have 3 examples of how to model chain. In the next video, we'll see how to model an entire plant. In this video, we'll model a plant. So the first thing we will do, we'll create the leaf, and for that, we will add a circle. Let's go, and we will call it leaf, because we will duplicate that after. That's why I put it leaves like that. And or maybe actually it wasn't this kind of circle that I want. Maybe a circle with 24 vertices might be enough, I guess. And let's call that leaves. It's good. Now we will go inside this circle in edit mode in orthographic view on top. I will select this vertex, and with here proportional editing with the sharp option, I will make a GX and open a little the scroll of my mouse to have this kind of shape like this. Okay, perfect. And then after we will just make the same with this here, but less big, like for example to have this shape. Okay, good. So I will enable, and be sure to enable this this add-on here. I don't think we did enable it together. It's loop tools, so get extension, search for loop tools, click on install, and you will have it inside. And now when you make a right click, you will have loop tools that is here. Okay, what I want to do here is to have the same distance between vertices here, to have here it's too dense and not dense enough here. So what I will do, I will make loop tool and make a space, and I will have it the same shape, but it will recreate the distance between each vertices of the selection. Okay, so right now I would like to close the geometry here, and to be sure that I have what I want, I can close manually, or I can close with Control F grid fill. Okay, so what I would like to have, it's maybe 3 4 spans like that, and increase the offset to have this shape here. Yeah, this is right, exactly what I want. Okay, so what we can do here now is continue the modeling by selecting these 3 vertices here, and we will go here in top view and make an extrusion into the x-axis. Okay, scale it down without the proportional editing, extrude it into the x-axis again, make something like that to have the stem here. So EX here again, good, and again another one, maybe into the x-axis, and scale it up a little to have this kind of shape. Okay, good. Maybe we can add with Control R a loop here to to prepare the deformation of this object. Good. So now that we have this shape, we are good to go, and we can continue the modeling. I would like to have something that is curved. Now it's totally flat, so I would like something more natural. And I would like a curve here to, in front view here, to have inside view, to have something like this here. Okay, this kind of shape here. So what I will do for that, I will just select these vertices here first. There's 2 vertices here first, this one and that one. And with here proportional editing, with still the sharp option activated with GZ, I can create already a nice natural shape here. Okay, just curve the entire object like this. Looks more natural already. And what I will do, I will just select these vertices as well. And just with the option activated, I will make a GZ too, okay? To have this kind of nice shape. Look, it looks far more natural than before, okay? So now we really have kind of basic basic shape of a leaf. Now I will add some modifiers. The first modifiers that I will add is generate, solidify, to add some thickness into it. So I will increase the thickness like that. Good. And now that I have my thickness, I can add a modifier generate subdivision surface, okay? And now I will have something smoother. What I can do to make the stem looks more natural and not something that is linked to this part here, I can just scale it down here, put it right over there, and add a loop here to make something more natural here, okay? That looks more like a real plant. Perfect. I make a shade smooth on it into object mode, and I have my leaf that is ready. I would like to select everything in edit mode and to put the base of the stem here, okay, to have this kind of shape. Perfect. What I can do as well is select the tip here and maybe make something more curvy on top. Something like that will look perfect. Good. So now we have our first leaf. Maybe here the beginning of it looks not really in the beginning because of the modifier. So I move everything like here. And now I can start to play with other modifiers as well. So I have my basic here shape, and I would like to start creating the plant. So what I will do, I will add a modifier, and this modifier here is an array. Good. So this array, we will manage it with another object, the empty. Okay, this empty will be a sphere. And what we will do on this array, we will disable relative offset, enable object offset, and select the object empty. So now I can manage that with the empty, as you can see. First of all, if you have 3 or 4 different leaves like that, it can really help you to create a plant without stem, like ferns or things like that. For example, let's select this one, okay, and we will make this kind of rotation like this, put maybe 25 leaves like this, and we'll make a rotation with RZ like that, okay, and we will scale it down, okay. So this already looks almost like a plant, really easy, okay. Just put it up a little and you will have this kind of nice shape that looks already natural, okay. But with 2 or 3 different parts like that, like if you have your first group like this, you duplicate it, and on the second one you will maybe modify a little the shape of each. Like for example here, this one on top view, I would like to make another shape, maybe it looks a little different here, and maybe we could make this as well, like scale it into the y-axis to have something bigger, okay. And these ones, maybe we would like a different angle, so in front view we select everything here and make a rotation like this and put it back in the center. And like this you have already something different. So here now what I can do, I can change the number. Maybe I will put just 15 like that, and here I will now come back to my empty, the duplication of it and continue some rotation to have some difference for having this kind of shape, okay? And now you have something that looks more natural, like a plant, okay? So this is the first option. With 2 or 3 different kind of leaves like that, you can play with it. Me, I want to show you another technique that in my opinion is very good. So what I will do, I will just remove that. Sorry, it wasn't a good one. Remove this one, okay? So now I have my leaf here. And what I can do is with GZ make something like that, okay? You have the leaves that will go up naturally around the stem like this that we will create after. So maybe I would like to add maybe more, like 50, and scale it a little less and put it down a little to have this kind of nice shape. As you can see, it works very well, very well. Now you have the nice rotation on top as well. So choose something that looks good from the top here. It looks very good. Okay, I make a rotation here and I have something that works. So now I will create the stem. The stem is very easy. You just add here a cylinder. The cylinder with not a lot of vertices, maybe 8 or 12 might be okay, depending on what you need. And you will make a shade smooth on it. What I will do in front view in edit mode, I will scale it down to make it little like this and scale it up into the z-axis to have the right shape and the right height into it, okay? So here it will be something around there. Nice one. Okay, it looks good more or less. What I will do now, I will select the top here, only this loop here, and scale it down. Like this, we have something thinner on top, and I will add with Control R a lot of loops here on the stem to make it to make the deformation possible, because I want to deform this to make it more natural. No, it looks too straight, it's not natural at all. So what I will do for that, I will add a curve. Let's add a curve here. It will be maybe a Bezier curve, or a path might work as well. But a Bezier looks good for me. So here I will make a rotation 90 degrees into numpad negative like this, okay, to have something that looks like this. So I come back before y 90 degrees minus should work. And now I go in edit mode. The goal here is to have the one that starts, to be sure the one that starts, so it's that one here, okay, has to be in the center here of the scene, and it will help for the rest of the modeling. So here in side view, you can see I can use this shortcut. I'm not sure that we did use this shortcut already. Here we have the numpad divide like this, okay? That will help you to have only the object selected in the view, okay? So you focus in that object and you reuse the shortcut and you come back with all the objects selected. So it can be very useful to work. So now I select everything and make a GZ to put this really in the center, okay? Only with this object selected, it's far easier. GZ, okay? And now I can rotate this to have a slight curve, let's say, and I come back with all the objects, okay? So now I can just make a GS to have nice curve on it, and extrusion to have something like that. Okay, looks good. And another extrusion here to have something like this. And now we have a curve. So in front view, we have to move a little the handles again to have something that looks more natural. Okay, now we have a nice curve. And what I can do now, I can add a modifier into the two other objects. So on the leaves and on the here the stem as well. Good. So let's go on the leaves first, add a modifier, generate here, not generate, sorry, the form curve, and I select the object, and it should look like that now. Okay, perfect. So you can make exactly the same for the other, add a modifier, deform curve, and make this to the curve. And it will follow as well. So now what you have is a curve that will manage the entire shape of your object. So for example, here you can just change a little or scale it up to have something more natural, or here scale it up again. Yeah, and you can play with that to just have a slight curve. So not something looks too crazy. You see, if you make something like that, it will create crazy deformations maybe. Here it still look okay, but sometimes it makes really crazy deformation, so be careful with that. Okay, and now you have something that you can really change easily. Like for example, you have this collection. So here will be the plant curve, let's call it like this. Always good to rename. And what is good too is that now that you have this collection that is made, that you can call plant, okay, modifiers maybe, and maybe you want to make another kind of plant. Okay, let's go. You duplicate all of that, duplicate, no, not duplicate, linked, sorry, duplicate collection. Okay, so now you have the same objects, but now you can make them different. So for example, let's say you want something that looks more like an herb or something like that. You come back with your object here and make a SY to make it thinner, okay? And maybe you want to rotate this like this and put it more like so in, and always you can change the shape of it, like maybe this shape looks good to you, okay? And now you have something that looks totally different than before, okay? But still looks natural like a plant. You can add more. For example, if you come back to the array, you can put, for example, I don't know, maybe 20, and now you have to come back here to make a GZ to put it up like so, okay? And now you have another kind of plant. And as you can see, it's very easy to do. In case you want something specific, like I will make a GZ like this. You see sometimes the leaves, they are in front of each other. Like for example, there is not only one here, but two. So what you can do, you just duplicate the first one. You go there and make a Shift D and RZ 180 and put it here. Okay, and you will have this kind of now plant that works very well as well. So now it will be two leaves that will be duplicated all along the way. So it will be something like that, that you will add some solidify into it, some subdivision surface, some array, and some curve. Okay, so very powerful method to make specific plants as well. So you can add four. Sometimes it really depends the plants. Some plants they go with just one leaf like that turn around. Sometimes it's two leaves, sometimes it's four. Yeah, sometimes the leaves are subdivided. So one leaf has a few little leaves on it. So yeah, it really depends, but mostly to distribute along a stem, it works very well. Let's go with the first one and maybe make another alteration of that. So let's duplicate the collection here and yeah, disable the first one. So now we would like maybe to add 4, okay? But I would like to change the shape of it. I would like something more round. So what I will do, I will just make SY like this to make something more roundish, okay? And come back to this and maybe change a little the shape of it, okay? Same here. Okay, and now we have something that looks again totally different. Okay, but maybe we want 4 this time, so I will select everything, make Shift D, LZ 180 and GX to put it here in the right place. And again, I will select everything now and make Shift D and RZ 108, RZ 90, sorry. Like this, you will have something that goes directly with 4 like this. So they will never have the same orientation. So what you can do in front view, you can select one, for example, with L and make a rotation and change a little the size maybe with a scale. Okay, it's always good to add some randomness into nature because it's never exactly the same leaf. It's never exactly the same curve. So yeah, don't hesitate to play with these options to make things more natural. With this as well, you can play with the sharp here and put it back. For example, one of it will go down like this and maybe that one will go up. So yeah, it really depends of what you want to achieve, but I really recommend you to add some randomness into it. So we have far too much leaves here. But what I can do, it's scale everything down. Okay, put it in the center here. Good. And some plants, they will do the invert. For this one, we go as we go up, it's less big. So for other plants, it goes bigger. So let's go with that. What we will do for it, we will just go into the options. We want less here into the array, maybe just 20, it's enough for that, even 15, because we have already 4 leaves. Even 10, it's okay. Yeah, something like that. It looks good for me. So now what we can do, we can scale or empty, and you will see that we will have this kind of effect here, that the leaves goes bigger on top. And now we can make a GZ to achieve what we want and put it here until there. And we have again another style of plant here. So yeah, it really depends what you want to achieve with that. But here you can see that now you have very easily 3 different plants, totally different, that you can use for your projects here. So don't hesitate to play with that. This can be a base to create, for example, a beginning of a branch, for example, here, and you will have 2 or 3 branches that will create a real branch and that you can add to a tree or something like that. Be careful, it will add a lot of vertices into your project. So in that case, make something more low poly with less polygons, or don't use the subdivision surface modifier to create as less possible vertices in your scene. It's very important that to keep the scene light as possible. So that's it for model a plant. And in the next video, we will see how to model a bottle with modifiers. In this video, I will show you how to model a bottle here with modifier. So let's go into our source files folders, and you will find here just an image of a bottle here. So very simple image. Just I did blur the brand here, and we can just start to model with this, okay, as a reference. So first of all, let's import this into Blender. To do that, we just click and drag the image into the interface, okay? With this image, I just make RG, Alt R, to put it in the center and to remove any rotation. And like this, I'm sure that I can make RX 90 degrees. And like this, it will be right oriented. I go into front view in orthographic view, and I go into the reference options here. So here I call this collection ref. Same for the image. Okay, ref. I add a new collection because I will create a new one, and this one will be the bottle. Okay. And for this reference here, we will just, we can manage the size of the image. We can manage if it shows in orthographic or perspective only in axis aligned. And I like this option because like this, when I turn around, I cannot see the image and it doesn't disturb me into the interface, but in front view, it will work, or inside view, it will work if it's well oriented. So I will decrease the opacity like this, it doesn't disturb me too much into the interface, and I will put it up with GZ, put it somewhere here, just be sure that it's well in the center with GX as well. Something like that should be good, okay? You can play with the offset Y and X here as well if you need. Good. So what I would like is to model here the bottle shape, and I would like two parts. I would like here the bottle here, and I would like the cap on top. So to do that, I will just add a new mesh, and this will be a plane. This plane, I will rename it bottle. Let's go for it. And now I just select everything and make a M at center. So it tells me that I have only one vertex here. Okay, and the first thing I will do, I will extrude that to go until there and start to follow the line with my extrude here. And what I will do, I will add the first modifier of the list, and this one will be a generate, and it will be here the screw. The screw will give me the entire revolution of it, so it can be good like this. What I can do, I can come back to my image to center it a little again with GX to be sure. Like this it will be easier, okay? And center that. Now I can follow the shape just by doing some extrusions like this, okay? This is a straight line, so I go with EZ like that, okay? Another extrusion. So depending on the image that you will choose, the reference will be perfect or not. Here we can see that we have a little orientation of it, but it's okay, just as a reference for modeling, it will work. Now we can make another extrusion here, another extrusion there, and another here with into the x-axis directly. So we can imagine inside the cap now and go inside with easy, okay, and have this kind of shape for the beginning. So this is the shape that we have after that. Be sure that your first vertex is at the center here, and to be sure of that, go inside the item menu here and put everything at 0 here. Good. We have our first step. Maybe we can increase the size of this a little just by making a GZ a little, just like that. Okay, good. Now what we would like to do is add some subdivision modifier, a subdivision. So what I will do, I will add a modifier generate subdivision surface, okay? And we will smooth our surface like this. But what I don't want is smooth here and there, and I don't have any crease possibility. So what I do, I will just duplicate some vertices by subdivide apart. Like for example here, I subdivide here, and I will make GG to slide here where I need to add some crease, okay? So I will do the same for that one. Subdivide, take the one in the center, and GG to slide it. Same here, subdivide and GG. Okay, and it will help you to crease the places that you need to crease. Maybe here this one needs to be as well. So I will again subdivide it, put that one here, and make a GG to slide it like that. And now you will have something that looks far more sharp and usable. So this is the first modifier that I have, the first modifiers that I have, and I would like to add some thickness into it. So internal thickness. So to do that, I will add a modifier generate solidify. It goes outside because here in the screw option, you have the possibility to manage normals and flip the normals. And now it goes inside. And now it looks good. we can adjust a little this value to make it thicker. Okay, and we will have something nice now. That looks very nice actually. Okay, not too much this value, because if you add too much thickness into it, it will go inside and go outside here, because we have some a thin part here. Okay, so let's add until there. It will be perfect. Good. Now we have a nice bottle. And what we would like is to create the cap. Create the cap is very easily actually. What I do for that, I just select these two vertices, and as they have already all these modifiers here, if I duplicate these two vertices here, let them there with the right click and make a P selection, it will just take this and create a new object. And this object will be the cap. Now I can select this here again. And if I want to put it outside, I go in the solidify here. And instead of offset -1, I put offset +1, and it will go outside. Perfect. So now what I just have to do is adjust a little the vertices, maybe until there. I don't follow exactly here because the size of it will not be perfect, but yeah, more or less here, and make an extrusion to add some roundness here. Okay, and create this kind of shape there. Good. And now I would like to make an extrusion to the x-axis, and to be sure that it will be in the center, I go there into the x value and put a 0, and now it will be perfectly in the center. So now we have our cup. Good. Just with vertices like that, you can create nice shapes very easily. So just to follow well a little more the reference, what we can do, we can adjust the vertices everywhere. So the cap looks good, more or less, and maybe this part is a little too thick here. So for all of this here, I will make a GX like that. Okay, like this, it will be more or less aligned with the cap. And then I will make a GX again. On this part, yeah, be sure it works well with your entire object, okay? And let's say something like that looks good for what we need, okay? So here it's a first step. Now what I would like to do is to add some screw here. So what I will do, I will hide the cap here, and I will add another object. This object will be just another plane. And we will just want to create a triangle shape with one vertex. So we'll make RX 90 degrees, RY 45 degrees, remove this vertex here, and now you have a right triangle shape. I will scale it down, put it up here, and put it there. Scale it down again. Maybe scale into the x-axis to have more this kind of shape here, and put the base here, somewhere there. Looks good. Add a modifier, generate, and again we will use the screw. The screw will create this nice shape here, but we would like to increase the screw. Like this, we will start to make a real screw. And increase the iteration, maybe just 2 iterations, or maybe 3 iterations by decreasing the screw value here. But I think it will be too much. So just 2, actually, it's okay. Good. So now we have this kind of shape. I would like to create here an edge here. Okay, good. And I would like to put it down a little, all of that, with GZ, something like this. Okay, so we can see that now we have something that goes very outside. So at the moment we will have to apply this to make the shape right, but let's add a modifier subdivision surface and have a look on it. So does it look good or not? Maybe we have the inverted normals here, and for that we go into the normals and flip here, and we will have something that looks far better. Okay, I come back to that one, increase the screw value, the viewport and the step has to be the same. So 24, 24 to have something that looks smoother, and I will put the same on that, 24 and 24. It will look better. Now I will have at a moment to apply this. Okay, so if you are not sure, you apply to, before applying a modifier, you duplicate it. Here we are more or less sure that we want a kind of shape like that, so let's go for it. I apply the first one. Now I will have the entire shape, and now I can manage the end and the beginning of it just by going on top here, enable the proportional editing with connected only and with the sharp option, and now you can put here the tip inside and the beginning here inside as well. Okay, we can go in here in this mode, in wireframe mode, to see more what we are doing, and now we have something that goes progressively inside and outside. Okay, good. So we have our first here screw. Okay, and we will make the same for the inside of the cap if needed. So in that case, you just duplicate this one and you call it screw cap. So inside the cap, we can put one, and it will be more or less the same system, but you will put it a little out on top of it like this, and disable the bottle, enable the cap, disable the first screw, and see how it looks like. So now to manage it, we make air without this. Okay, so or we come back and make another. But what we can do as well, here we have an interesting shape. So what we can do as well is scale it up until into the X and Y to have something like that, more or less, that goes inside, but not too much. And what we can do, we can just make add a loop here, and with Alt S put it up without the proportional editing. Okay, now we have the right shape, and we select that one on top with here, but we put it inside here now with the proportional editing. Same for that one. And now it should look like this. Maybe we can put this inside a little more. Okay, with GX, I guess. Exactly. So now we have something good that looks aligned and fit the shape that we want. Maybe this one, it's a little outside. And now it looks good. So you can now manage the screw cap and parent it to the cap. So what I will do here is make a Control P and parent it to the object. Like this, when I move the first, the other will move. And here I will make the same to the screw and to the bottle. So the screw and the bottle here. Okay, Control P, set parent to object. Now I can move this up and move this down. It will follow, everything will follow, and we have the bottle and the cap, and inside we have the screw that follows. So this is a good example on how to use the screw here with the subdivision in Solidify. It works very well to create all the shapes that will be like a glass of wine, or a simple glass, or a bottle, or a vase, or yeah, a lot of possibilities with that. And for the screws, it works very well as well. So that's it for modeling with modifiers. So we did see already a few examples. Don't hesitate to make your own experiment with that. Modifiers are something very powerful in Blender, and if you really want to achieve a good level of modeling, modifiers will be in your workflow for sure. Now we can continue, and I think it's done for simple modeling, let's say. You can experiment with that. Don't hesitate to reproduce the tutorials more and more until it becomes natural. It's really something important for you. And after, in the next chapter, we will start to produce some images with that. So we will discover the camera options.